she just started to feel like he was going more than he had been, or he was more unavailable while he was gone. I'm not really sure. It might have just been some kind of womanly instinct, intuition, I don't know, but she became suspicious of the trips. And so she started just trying to, be in more contact with him during the trips, or ask more specific questions, try to trip him up because she had no proof. It was just a feeling. And honestly, at the time, I thought that she was just crazy. My mother has been in just a multitude of bad relationships, and so I just thought she was being paranoid, honestly, because he seemed like an okay guy. I didn't spend much time at home, so I didn't know him super well, but I mean, I just thought he was decent enough. So she becomes very convinced. Sorry if you can hear that child. Anyway, she became very convinced, and she wanted to get into his phone, but he kept his phone locked down. He took it with him everywhere. Passcode, like there was no getting into it. I mean, if he went to the bathroom, the phone went with him. Like there was no opportunity to snoop. So we came up with the idea that because he had a trip planned for the following weekend, I volunteered my phone. We downloaded a tracking app, like Live 360, or like that app where you and your family can share locations. We downloaded that to my phone and to my mother's phone. And I was going to my friend's house for the weekend, and she lived out in bumfuck nowhere, so I didn't have service out there anyway. So I was like, it's fine. I'm not even gonna be able to use it out here, so I'll just leave it with you. You hide it in his car. I was like, hide it well, and we'll track him. And I was like, and if you're tracking him and he's not going to Georgia, then text my friend and we'll come meet you and we'll go follow him. And so that's what we did. And that Saturday morning, I think, he left. He told her he was going to Georgia. And so after he had been gone a couple hours, he called her, and he had told her that he was heading through Chattanooga at the time. And she could see on the tracking app that he's in Murfreesboro, which, if you're not familiar with Tennessee geography, are not near, you're not close to Chattanooga when you're in Murfreesboro. Yeah, so she's like, oh, okay, she plays it off. They have the conversation. She lets me and my best friend know, hey, he's lying, so be heading this way, let's get ready. So me and my best friend pile into the car and drive to my mom's house, and we all get in the car, and we're in her car, and we're hauling ass, we're all pumped up, we're gonna catch this mother effer, and we get pulled over. The cop, he comes up and he's like, you're speeding. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, what's the rush? And so she tells him, oh, I'm going to catch my cheating boyfriend. And he's like, not in this county. She's like, no, sir. And he's like, okay. He's like, do you live around here? She's like, no, I don't live here. Because I guess at the time they'd been having a problem with people speeding on this road, which is why he was there. And she's like, no, officer, I don't live here. So, he lets us go. He wishes us luck on our quest. And so we go all the way to Murfreesboro, which is about close to 2 hours from where we live, depending on traffic. And we're trying to find him, but he's on the move. He's not stopping anywhere, really. And we got stuck in construction traffic. It was such a mess. My mom was getting really frustrated. She's like, he won't stop anywhere. We're not catching up to him. She's like, if we don't catch him in the next 20 minutes, then I'm going home, because we've been doing this I see it. I'm like, and it's at the very end of a Walmart parking lot, like way down where nobody parks. And I was like, there, he's right there. And so my mom flies over there, and he had just put a girl in his car. And so he's coming around the back of his car, and my mom flies up. I mean, slams on the brakes, like, throws it in gear. I'm surprised it was even in gear, and hops out before the car is even like stopped. And his face is just like, I think one, he thought he was gonna get ran over because that's how close she was to him, and two, he was just like, what is happening? So I get out, my two friends get out, and they're kind of hanging out in the back, and I mean, she's cussing him, of course. What the fuck are you doing? And I go to looking for my phone, because I guess wherever she put it, it like fell down in the seat. I couldn't find it. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, looking for my phone, asshole. Like, how do you think we found you? And my mom's cussing him out, and like, the girl is just sitting in the car. She's not saying like anything. She's just sitting there. And my mom's like, I don't have a problem with you, bitch, but like, keep your mouth shut. Like, don't say anything. I don't have a problem with you, but I will if you say anything. Like, don't involve yourself in this. And he's trying to, they're in the parking lot arguing beside the car while I'm trying to get my phone. I finally get my phone. I come back around. He tries to get in his car to leave. And at some point, I'm not really sure when, the girl dipped, like she just snuck out of there. But he's trying to get in the car and leave, and he's trying to put the key in the ignition. And my mom's, she jumps in the front seat on top of him and is fighting with him over the key. I think they ended up like bending it, and oh god, I'm just standing there like, oh my god, because we're in the fucking Walmart parking lot, like there's people, they're screaming. He starts trying to like push her out, and I'm like, I don't think, like, I'm just looking. He's like, you better get her. I was like, I'm not getting shit, you brought this on yourself. I was like, the only thing I'm like, in my head, I was like, the only thing I'm stopping is if you try to put your hands on her. And she's trying to get the key out, but she can't because he's fighting her on it. So then she just starts grabbing stuff out of the car and throwing it into the parking lot, like his phone, his GPS, money that she found in the console. And he's, you know, of course, screaming at her to stop, whatever. And at one point she was like choking him. I mean, not literally like two hands, but yeah, I'm like pinned up against the seat trying to take the keys. Eventually they both get back out of the car, and he calls the cops. He's like, oh, my ex-girlfriend's up here in the Walmart parking lot making a scene. She's flipping out. She's like, your ex-girlfriend, you fucking live with me, bitch. And he's like, he's still talking to the cops. He's trying to get him to come. So she's just like, yeah, whatever, fuck you. Like, I'm not ex anything. You're a liar. You're a cheater. And she like pops him in the nuts and takes off. So we all pile back into the car, because I don't remember if she said something or if like to him about his shit at the house. I can't remember. But we get in the car and we take off, and then so does he, and we're both on the interstate like rushing back home. And he's coming up beside us on the interstate in his little Easter egg. He has this little tiny, like, I don't even know what it was, like a tiny little hatchback car. And he's coming up beside us, flying, he's flipping us off. So we flipped him back off, but we ended up having to stop for gas. So, and suspended license that he didn't know about because of some unpaid ticket. So he wasn't allowed to drive. He had to call a tow truck to bring him to the house. So by the time he's up to the house, Mom's already packing his shit and putting it on the porch. And he brings the cops with him when he comes. And lo and behold, it's the same cop that pulled us over earlier. And he's like, oh, I thought you didn't live around here. And yeah, he's like trying to get the cops to like arrest her for yelling at him, and they're just like, no. I mean, you're at her house. You're clearly a shithole. Like, we're not gonna arrest her for cussing you. Because she was cussing him like a dog while he's getting his stuff. And she did tell him, not that he could have drove his truck anyway, because he had gotten pulled over already. He had to have it towed. But she told him at that point, like, look, yeah, I put sugar in your tank, so don't drive it. You need to drop the fuel tank and clean it. And he pressed charges on her against that, actually. She had to go turn herself in a couple weeks later, but nothing ever came of it. But oh my god, it was so crazy. Like, I can't even remember all the stuff she was saying to him, but it was just the most dramatic thing ever. And he had to, obviously, like I said, he had to have his car towed that he got pulled over in, which was like a rental car that he used to commute back and forth to work, because he worked so far from where we lived that he didn't want to drive his precious truck and put all the miles and gas in it. So he had to tow his rental car, he had to tow his truck, and he had to tow his camper out of there because he couldn't drive anything. So he had this huge tow bill on top of everything else that had happened. And the insane thing is, well, actually two things, because one, he would not admit that he was cheating on her. He said that was just his friend, which is stupid, obviously. And then secondly, the most stupid thing of all is that my mom took him back. After all that, she took him back. And, which it did not fly with me. I was a complete bitch to him. After that, I would not speak to him. I barely looked at him. If I did, it was with fuck off and die eyes. Like, if I could kill you with looks, I'm trying. I was not having any part of it. Like, I just don't roll like that. If you're a bad person, like, I don't want anything to do with you. And she obviously like put him on lockdown. She was like, I have access to your phone, you keep the tracker on your phone, like blah blah. For several months they did that, and then like 2 weeks after she lets him take the tracker off his phone, you know, she trusts him again, he butt dials her while he's on a date. Swear to God. She calls me and she's like, I'm like out to dinner with my friend. She's like, he just called me while he's on a date. I can hear him talking to this girl. Like, where do you want to go? And he had no idea that he had butt dialed her. I think she called him back and was like, yeah, you might want to check your calls, bitch. And like, I mean, I'm just like, Mom, come on. Like, oh God. Yeah, how you butt dial somebody when you're cheating on them. But of course, once that all happened, his excuse was that he was a sex addict. He was addicted to sex and he was very insecure, and that's why he sought out validation from outside the relationship, you know. Typical man bullshit. Anyway, yeah. They didn't actually break up after that either. I mean, they did, but it was like a week later. She was like going back and forth on whether she wanted to try to make it work. We could have a whole story, like 700 story times about all of the completely toxic Story Springer Chronicles. I wish I could say that was like the worst thing, but it's so not. It's not. If you guys want to hear more about my completely white trash life, let me know. I'd be happy to tell you all the stories.